I'm a confessed pantster. And for many people, they don't know what that means. So I'll tell you. And I'm confessing to this because a lot of writers consider pantsters not good writers because we don't write with an outline. We write from the seat of our pants. That's why it's called pantster. However, from the seat of our pants is not really true. I think the outliners gave us that name. But what it means is, I tried to write from an outline, I did, but my mind wouldn't let me. It kept going in other directions. And as I've said before, it's very, very important to let your characters take you where they want to go. You're going to end up in a much better place than you trying to force it. If you do an outline, you don't know your characters, you don't know what they'll be doing in that situation. As you're outlining, you have no idea. And so it may not happen that way. So I can't outline. I have to start with an idea, pretty basic idea, and then move from there. When I started The Clock Strikes Midnight, I began that story as a story about women going through a midlife crisis. That's what I thought that story was going to be about. It is nothing about that. It is about redemption. It is about life's tragedies. It's nothing to do with the women going through a midlife crisis. So, but I started that way, and all of a sudden, things changed, and the story evolved in a totally different way. I let it go, and when I let it go, amazing things happened. It was the same way with The E-Murderer. The E-Murderer I tried to write, and I have to say honestly, I tried this one with an outline because I felt like there's something wrong with me as a writer, because all these writers and writers' conferences were saying, you need to outline and you need to do it this way. So I tried it, and I couldn't do it. And before long, and the outline was simple in the sense that I knew about there was going to be an E-murderer, and I knew who the murderer was, but I had no idea how it was going to be resolved or what some of the red herrings would be or anything else. And that particular book, I had to just put the outline away because Quentin popped up, and he wasn't supposed to be there, and where did he come from? And all of a sudden there's Detective Rich, who is my handsome, good-looking detective who popped up. He wasn't in my outline. Who are these people? And they led me somewhere else. And by the time I got to Murder on Moonshine Hill, I didn't even know who the murderer was when I started it. And that all evolved as the book went along. And I think, and my readers can tell you this, that Murder on Moonshine Hill actually has a more disguised killer than in The E-Murderer. There are some readers who read The E-Murderer who do figure it out sooner. Nobody as yet has figured out Murder on Moonshine Hill, honestly figured out who the killer was, because the writer didn't know. The writer didn't know as you're going along. So in many ways, that's what pantsters do. We have an idea, and it emerges, and then we're done. Imagine then what we have to do in the editing process. That's a whole other discussion, but it lets you know that it is a lot harder for us, the editing part, than the creating part. Whereas an outliner, it's a lot easier to do the editing because they've gone boom, 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 boom by an outline.